You have to go out and work. Please stay home, stay safe. Think about it over the weekend that perhaps if we all take enough precautions, come Monday, the cases as well may go down. There is no other way out until the magical vaccine comes to us and we are able to use it. Moving on, it's been almost more than 2 weeks since we at India Ahead have been highlighting the issue of NEET JEE examinations. Whether they could have been postponed owing to the extraordinary situation of COVID cases across India, like we just told you how they are surging, and also floods in various parts and lack of transportation for students who live in really remote areas. Now let's bring you up to speed on the JEE main examinations, which started on schedule on the 1st of September and shall go on till the 6th of September. This year alone, 8,58,000 candidates registered for the JEE Mains, out of which more than 1,15,000 students dropped out from appearing for the exams in the first 3 days. Look at that dropout number. The number accounts for 25% of the 4,50,000 students who had registered to sit for the JEE Main in the first 3 days, which is from the 1st till the 4th of September, which is today. What this could actually mean for the number of aspirants who did not appear for India's most competitive college exam is perhaps, and I hope to God, not the shutting of doors to enter the best engineering schools in the country. There may be, of course, several reasons in the past years, because I'm sure students must have dropped out even in the previous years. But this year, like we have said continuously on India Ahead, this year is primarily about the fear of COVID. I asked you to call me, and let me tell you, I have been inundated by calls since morning from students who want to speak out in this issue, who want to speak their mind out. I will take callers, of course, but first let me go across to my guests who have joined me already. Kapil Gupta, who's CEO of neetprep.com. Also Maria Varaprasad, who's Director, Paloti School and Junior College. Also two students from Telangana. We have Mohammad Faizuddin, who's from Telangana, and Arya Shandilya, who's a NEET student from Bihar. A very warm welcome to all of you. Let me first come to you, Kapil Gupta. This dropout rate, which kind of looks, because like I said, we are in an extraordinary situation and this has been going on and on, because of the scare of the COVID. Do you think the percentage of 25% is high? And if you think it's not high, why is it so?
I would want to believe it is not very high. My expectation was it was going to be in the range of more than 50%. If you look at the numbers, the first day attendance was low. Second and third day, once probably the news started coming in that yes, the measures in the centers are all right, more people attended. But I do believe, and this is my sense, probably after the exam is over for JEE and for NEET, the government might come out and say, you know what, we are going to provide another day for students, because there is genuinely a problem. A lot of places which are flooded, students could not have reached. There is genuine concern in the family that there is a risk for the student going in and coming back with the virus and infecting people who are more vulnerable. So my sense is that on the first day, the numbers are more reflective. Second and third day, probably people got more confidence. And even now, this was 8.5 lakh students with respect to JEE. NEET is going to be 16 lakh students on a single day. 16 lakh students on a single day. This is happening in 12 shifts across 6 days. 16 lakh students on a single day. Right. What is going to happen on that day? That is not known. And on the last moment, if NTA can still think of conducting the exams on multiple days like they've done for JEE, that is going to be super good news for students. The sense I'm getting from students we are talking to, a lot of students are not going to appear for NEET, and that is quite a tragedy. I'm telling them, if you're not able to attend NEET 2021, go ahead.
Yeah, Kapil, you said that you expected a larger dropout number. But I've been speaking to students for almost, like I said, more than 2 weeks. You have been on our program several times over with me and also with my colleague Bhupen Chaube in the evening. What I would say is, I was speaking to a lot of parents as well. I would attribute that to resilience. These students are bold. I mean, they kept pushing back the government to say postpone them. They never said cancel. Only a clutch said cancel. More than, you know, I say 80%, I mean, I'll put a figure and stick my neck out there, said postpone them. So I would attribute to resilience and a salute to those students, because parents said, what do you expect us to do? Our child has been studying for so long. The exam is right here at our doorstep. We have to go. Let me now go across to Maria Varaprasad. Maria Varaprasad, I want to ask you that would you attribute this dropout which has happened, 25%? Like I said, I'm sure in the earlier years also there were dropouts. Not that, you may get cold feet, you may be unwell. There could be several other reasons. But don't you think this year the dropout can actually be, equated because of the fear of COVID and the flood situation and the lack of public transport? What do you think?
Yeah, I think first of all I should really congratulate all the students who have taken a very courageous step to go ahead and appear for the examinations. I think, as you rightly said, it is their efforts. I mean, they have waited for 3-4 months now, and they cannot anymore wait. They cannot wait anymore, because it's almost putting their life at risk. Even if it is a risky thing, they have gone ahead and given their examinations, and I think that is their good thing. And this dropout percentage, if you see the last year JEE Mains dropout percentage was 15%, and this year it is about 25+. And I don't think it is a big dropout given the situation. Maybe if things are still improving. I mean, I just talked with a few of our students who appeared for the exams in the last 2-3 days, and they said the arrangements are quite good. Okay. But thing is also, we are also getting some reports, some kind of feedback from the students that, especially the students who are affected with corona or at least some symptoms of COVID-19, they were, they were not permitted to enter the exam centers, at least in some cases. And that is a kind of, kind of an issue.
But that was the SOP. But that was part of the SOP, right? Because there was thermal screening, and they said that if you show any symptoms, then perhaps you will not be able to give the exams, which I think is perfectly fine. Don't you think that's perfectly fine, Mr. Varaprasad? Because
they said there are going to be some isolation rooms which will be arranged for them, where the students could write the exams in isolation.
Yes.
But I think in some cases, they were not provided. And that is a kind of alarming situation. And the second thing that I would like to see is the examination centers which are quite far from their places. There have been students who have struggled to reach the examination center, especially because of these also natural calamities that are going on. Heavy rains in many parts of India. My own students in some places could not reach the examination center in time just because of the lack of public transport. And they had to completely depend on their own vehicles or even parents dropping them, etc. I think the government needs to be aware of these kind of things and do something more than what they are doing. I don't think they are not doing anything. They are doing. But thing is, I think something more has to be done for all these kind of things as well. And NEET is coming up again.
Mr. Varaprasad, Mr. Varaprasad, all that the government did was they put the SOPs in place. That's all they did. I mean, so far as transport is concerned, I mean, in these remote areas, they really did not do anything, and that was a very, very big problem with all the students that I spoke to. Whether it is Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, West Bengal, Assam, parts of Bihar, I mean, they were flooded, and these students sent me videos where their homes were like swimming pools. So the government did not really do anything. They said we can't postpone it. We will do SOPs. Let me come to Arya Chandelier. Hi Arya, how are you doing?
Hello. Yes ma'am, I'm good.
Okay.
Hello.
So we are talking about the dropout rate. Just now Mr. Varaprasad tells me that, last year it was 15% and this year it is 25%, which is a very important piece of news, I think, because like he said, he expected, even Kapil Gupta says he expected more. But even otherwise, if you just look at raw data, 25% is more than 15% on of such a volume. So there are dropouts, and I suspect, I'm sticking my neck out, it must be because some students just could not reach the centers. Maybe they were very scared because they have the elderly at home and those who are vulnerable. What do you think, Arya? What is your view on this whole dropout rate?
Ma'am, there is a fear among students for getting infected of this disease, and it's very genuine. Even if I talk of myself, yes, I'll go to appear in my exam, but I'll always be scared. From the time I get out of my home till the time I reach to the center, there will be a sense of fear in my mind. And yes, many students don't have the facility to reach there. Even if the government has started trains and they are just promising that we will provide you facilities, but it's not being implemented on the ground level. And so many students are just missing out the examinations, some out of fear, some out of the lack of facilities. And even this is going to happen in NEET. Still, 3 days of exams of JEE Mains are still left. Today is 4th, and tomorrow is also exam, and day after tomorrow is also exam. And then on 13, just double the
Right.
numbers of students are going to appear. So it will be very risky. Just we are looking forward to the Supreme Court decision. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. But I know that if it doesn't
Yeah,
happen,
that is what a
then
lot
the
of
government
students
is,
who call me. Yeah, Arya.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what,
So
a
if
lot of
they are
students who
going
called me
to
said
drop
that
out,
in the morning.
the attendance is going to be
Yeah,
less
and
in, yeah, ma'am.
right. Let me go to Kapil Gupta. Kapil, with a lot of parents I was talking to, they said that, the child has studied, our son, our ward, actually, daughter, son, has studied for such a long time. Now I somehow want the student to go give the exam, It's like they say in Hindi, ki bas ab khatam karo isko, we don't want any more burden and a millstone around my neck. Tell me, Kapil, with your large experience, what makes a student then drop out? After preparing for so long, of sitting in that room and studying, what are the main reasons for dropouts if they happen?
See, look at it from this perspective. Every year, 50% students get less than 120 marks out of 720. A lot of students who know that they can only afford a government medical college, and they know right now by giving their mock test whether they'll be able to make it or not. If they think they'll not be able to make it, my sense is a lot of them might not take this health risk. In my mind, health risk is genuine. But the challenge is, the disappointing thing is, we had a girl on our platform, she's from Kadapa, getting 648 out of 720. That would make her amongst the toppers in Andhra Pradesh. And she told me she's not going to go for the exam because the parents are not allowing. So this is a very tragic situation which is unfolding right now. The data would not capture the tragedy which is being burdened upon the students, where they are prepared for 2-3 years, and a lot of them might not be able to go and give the exam. This gap of 10%, which Maria told about, 10% in case of NEET is 2 lakh students, 1.6, 1.7 lakh students. And there is a lot of money involved in preparation, right, a lot of effort involved, and what comes with is a lot of disappointment. But I'm telling my students, if you want to opt out, that is all right. Next exam is only 35 weeks away in 2021. If you feel the risk is very high, if you're not able to arrange the transport, don't get disheartened and start preparing for next year. No exam is do or die. This is just one of the things you are doing in your life which is going to go on till 75 years, and you don't have to get too crazy about not being able to go and write the exam. It's all right. It doesn't matter.
Kapil, so well put. This is what we've been saying also on India Ahead, and coming from you, who interacts with a number of students day in and day out. This is so reassuring, Kapil Gupta, because I have been saying it and our channel has been saying it, that an examination is only part of your life. It is really not your entire life. So, there is no point getting desperate over it. And also, Kapil Gupta, you were saying this girl who had fabulously scored, and you said that the parents did not allow. I would go with the parents, because it completely ratifies what you said finally. That that maybe the child can go and sit for the exam next year. If she's a bright student and you say that she's got fabulous scores, she can always go. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy was saying the same thing the other day, that these clutch of students who are brilliant, academically, not that others are not, but they can always go and sit for this exam next year. So why risk your lives? And as you know, he's wrote a letter to the Prime Minister. He was interacting with the students. One man who actually was also a teacher and, you know, who taught at IIT is somebody, and that he set an example. But also, you know, Varaprasad, Mr. Varaprasad, if I can come to you, if you look at, we are playing out a graphic, Mr. Varaprasad. You know, the number of JEE aspirants year on year, you know, if we can pull up that, there it is, that graphic. It's actually declined, Mr. Varaprasad, over the years. I mean, if you go up from, we're showing from 2012 up to 2019, it's actually gone down. It's not like an exponential growth of people. What is the reason for this, you think?
Yeah, if you ask me, one reason that I would say is the students have realized that this engineering or BE or BArch is not the only career that they can opt for. There are a number of other careers, and I am one who always stick on to that. You know, these are not the only options, or let us say, you know, for various reasons. Right. In Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, people have stuck their heads and their attitudes only to saying that engineering and medicine. But there are 101 more better career options for you all, not just this. And I think this decline in the numbers who are especially, and also I think that will also go a little bit with NEET. This is one reason that I would say. And if you don't mind, coming back to the decline in the attendance of JEE this year, I have two reasons, two things also to point out. One thing is the psychological state of the students. They have prepared for 2 years and more to sit for these examinations. And with this fear, the fear of the pandemic, how well are they prepared psychologically to sit for the exam? You know, many parents and even the students would be thinking of that. Exam is a kind of a fear factor for everybody, of course. And in this pandemic situation, this is this has more to do with the decline in the numbers or the decline in the attendance for JEE. The second thing is coming up with the next. The second thing is the NEET is coming up now on 13th September. And I have seen students, my own cousin is appearing for NEET actually. And this guy is living in one place and he got a center which is 60 kilometers away from his hometown. And there are no public transport reaching to that place. Oh. And I think there is one more week left for NEET to take place. And it is not too late now that the government or the NTA should now act and say, now at least in this week, they can they do something to sort things out, and if possible, as far as possible, allot centers which is near to their houses. Especially in this rainy season, there are a lot of rains predicted in the coming, in the very near future.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Varaprasad, both you and Kapil Gupta have made very, very relevant points. And what I'm taking away from both of you, and this is for all the students who watch India Ahead very intently, is that could be a psychological fear already because this exam is supposed to be very tough. And these are indeed extraordinary circumstances, you know, and so therefore the dropout rate could be associated because of this, the scare of COVID-19 and also the floods and also the lack of public transport. Arya Shandilya, you know, finally from you, I want to hear from you, from a young person who's a student. Arya, a lot of people also said that, oh, these are only 25%. Why are you ignoring the others, you know, who are actually 75% who actually went and sat for the exams? So they are saying that you need guts. If there is no guts, no glory. Do you agree with this? I mean, for me, it seems like some kind of a Don Quixote kind of a thing.
Yes, ma'am. This is just blaming a student. That I have heard from many people that if you can't go and take risk to appear in an exam, how will you become a doctor? How will you stand in surgery? Like my concern was that yes, wearing masks for 8 hours straight, wearing gloves, we will not be able to give the exams with 100% efficiency. Also, there will be a fear of the pandemic, the scare of health. So it will be very risky overall. A student can never appear with in the exam with the 100% efficiency as they would have appeared in a normal condition. So and just taking that only 25% missed and 75% are appearing, it's not a parameter to judge a student's talent or his or her potential.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. So
not at all. Arya, I totally concur, agree. I agree with what you're saying. That is not a parameter to judge the child. Actually,
never.
Students should not be judged. You know, Never
ma'am.
judge.
Yeah.
I mean, do not judge. That's one word which is not going to take anybody anywhere. Therefore, this is just an exam, and you can always, like Kapil Gupta said, and also Mr. Varaprasad, that there is going to be next year. There is an entire life in front of you. So you need to stay safe, look at the cases which are really going up, and I hope the government, like Mr. Varaprasad said, does something about, you know, arranging transport for students who are stuck in remote areas and have exam centers like 60 kilometers away. In some cases, I've heard 125 kilometers away. Someone in the government needs to own responsibility. These are our students. This is